The room fell silent. Every eye turned to Jasmine Crockett as her voice cracked. Ibrahim Traoré, he's the reason we're standing here today. There was a weight to her words, one that hung in the air and reverberated through the hearts of everyone present. A strange stillness spread, but behind the calm was an undeniable surge of anticipation, a feeling that something incredible was about to unfold. Introduction and setup. It was an unusually warm day in Washington, D.C., and the EEI's air outside was thick with the hum of summer. Inside the Grand Hall of Congress, the walls seemed to echo with the weight of history, both past and future. Members of the House gathered, their voices mingling with the rustle of papers and the shuffle of feet. Yet, as Jasmine Crockett stood at the podium, it felt as though time itself had come to a standstill. She was a figure of unshakable confidence, her eyes set firmly on the crowd, yet her voice trembled with emotion as she spoke. We are standing on the brink of something monumental. Her words held a quiet power that commanded attention. The buzz of conversation faded into silence as she spoke of distant lands and powerful leaders whose names had once been whispered, in fear. Jasmine, though a young congresswoman, had grown to become a voice of moral clarity in a time of global uncertainty. Her passion for justice had led her to advocate for the oppressed, the forgotten, and the unheard. But today, she was going to speak of a man whose journey had become a symbol for many. A man who had defied the odds and dared to rewrite his nation's future. As the camera panned out, capturing every angle of the room, the audience knew this wasn't just another speech. This was something much more profound. Conflict or challenge introduced. The mention of Ibrahim Traoré was not random. His name, though unfamiliar to some, held a special resonance for those who understood the stakes. It was a name that symbolized defiance, strength, and the unyielding pursuit of freedom. But as Jasmine continued her speech, a quiet murmur spread across the room. Not everyone was ready to embrace what his rise to power truly meant. There were whispers about the truth behind his leadership. Some called him a revolutionary, others a threat. To some, he was a symbol of Africa's future, while to others he was a potential disruptor of the delicate international balance. But Jasmine knew something they didn't. She knew that his story was one of deep sacrifice and unparalleled courage. Behind her words lay the tension of the moment, an internal struggle between duty and belief, between speaking truth and facing the unknown. Her heart was heavy with the weight of what she was about to reveal, midpoint revelation or twist. And then it happened. A single sentence changed everything. People don't understand the weight of his decision. Jasmine continued, her voice now steady, almost prophetic. I know because I've seen it. Ibrahim Traoré isn't just fighting for his people, he's fighting for all of us. The room shifted. The sudden realization that this wasn't just political, this was personal, rippled through the gathering. Jasmine's connection to Traoré was not just ideological. She had seen firsthand what his resilience had cost. It was a moment of vulnerability, one she rarely allowed herself to show. The congresswoman had been to the heart of Africa, had stood in the heat of the struggle, had spoken with the man whose name she now spoke with reverence. The twist wasn't just in the facts, it was in her eyes, a reflection of the trauma they had shared. Jasmine had witnessed the horrors of war, the devastating costs of power struggles. She had seen how the forces of greed and oppression sought to tear down the hope that men like Traoré had fought so desperately to build. Climax. Emotional breakthrough. A tear rolled down Jasmine's cheek, though she made no effort to wipe it away. Her voice broke as she continued. I know the pain of watching your country crumble. I know the burden of having to make choices that weigh heavier than any leader should bear. But Ibrahim Traoré is standing not just for his nation, but for every person who has ever dared to dream of a better world. It was in that moment that the crowd understood. They didn't just see a politician speaking. They saw a woman who had lived through it, who had sacrificed everything for a cause. And in that moment, Jasmine was no longer just a congresswoman. She was a voice of the oppressed, a beacon of hope for the marginalized. A hushed silence followed her words, heavy, with the realization that the truth of Ibrahim Traoré's mission had just been laid bare. The tension in the room was palpable, a shared understanding that something bigger than politics was unfolding. It wasn't just about Africa or America, it was about the human spirit. Resolution and quiet closure. The applause that followed was not the usual applause of formality. It was the applause of recognition, of respect. The room didn't just acknowledge Jasmine's words, they embraced them. For a brief, shining moment, the barriers between nations, ideologies, and individuals faded. The camera caught the quiet moment after the speech, a tearful congresswoman standing alone for a brief second in the echo of her words, breathing in the weight of the moment. In that silence, a deep and profound shift took place. There would be no more ignoring the realities of the world. There would be no more pretending that the struggles of leaders like Traoré didn't matter. As Jasmine Crockett walked off the stage, the audience rose to their feet, not just in acknowledgement but in understanding. A new chapter had begun, not just for her or for Ibrahim Traoré, but for all those who believed in the power of truth. Call to action for YouTube. If this story moved you, please consider subscribing for more inspiring tales of resilience, hope, and the power of truth. Don't forget to like and share this video with someone who needs to hear it today. Together, we can create a world where the truth always finds its voice.